Good morning, everyone. We are good to start again today. So I hope you have been following and enjoying the series of this class. So today we want to look at while loop. While loop. And what is while loop, or when do we use while loop? Now, while loop in C. A while loop is used to repeat a specific block of code in an unknown number of times. That is, we use while loop to repeat a specific block of code. And what do we mean by our what? Block of code. Our block of code, this is it. This is a block of code. Now, we've said the while loop here. So this is a block of code for this what? While loop. So it's to repeat a block of code. And of what? Of unknown number of times. Of unknown number of times. At times we want to write a program, but we don't actually know the number of times it's going to occur, or it is going to repeat itself when we are trying to consider. So until a condition is met. So until a condition is met, if the condition is not met, then there's nothing to loop. There's nothing to loop. We are going to do that. We'll explain it again. So for example, if we want to ask a user for a number between 1 to 10, we want to ask a user a number between 1 to 10. So we don't know how many times the user may enter a larger number. So we keep on asking, in as much as what? Why the number is not between 0 and 10. So the user may enter what? Number that are not between what? 1 and 10. So then we have to set a condition that we keep asking until the user puts on what? The right number. Until the user put on the right number between, that is a number between 1 and 10. So knows exactly how many times to execute such. So if the computer knows exactly how many times to execute a sections of code, then we use what? For loop. We use for loop when we know the number of times that a code or a computer will execute what? Sections of code. We actually know the number of time. Okay, this thing will what? Will repeat itself 5 times. It will repeat itself 10 times. So we use for loop in that case. While loop, we use it when we don't know the number of times it will repeat itself. And we are going to quickly look at example of such. So I have 2 examples under this. And number 1 example, we want to take the number between 1 and 10. We want to take the number between 1 and 10, and which, let's quickly look at that. We want to take number between 1 and 10. I'm setting up the environment. So we want to take, we know the first thing we need to do is to declare our header file. So after that, we declare our entry points. It's not taking any argument, we use void there. Then we set our condition. Now, since we want to take numbers from user, and it is digit, so we use integer. Let's use int I, and we set it to 1. We set it to 1. Then after that, we need to set our condition y. Okay, sorry, before that, since we want to take an input, so let's use what we want to print. That's print f. Please enter number between 1 and 10. Between 1 and 10. So we terminate that. Now we use scanf to take the input from user, and the input we are taking is integer, therefore we use %, then comma is coming from I, then we put the address, then we terminate this. So after that, we set our condition. Now let's quickly write the algorithm, the pseudocode of this thing. If you want to write the pseudocode, number 1 is to what? Get the number. That is, get number, or you can put what? Set your variable. Set variable number 1, that's number 1. Set variable number 2 is that what? You assign value to your variable. So after that, I don't want to go to all this one. Let's forget about this one. So let's set the condition here. Now we know it's possible for this user to enter number that is less than 1 or is greater than 10. So that is a condition, possibility, that this user is possible. We have 3 possibilities here. Either what this, no, let's put it this way. Okay, number less than 1 is possible. Then number greater than 10 is also possible that way. Then the number could also fall between 1 and 10. So these are the 3 possible ways. So in that case, let's set this condition first here, and the number which is I, that is, why the number is less than 1, or the I is greater than 10, then we give a statement of what to do. And what we want to do is what? Print. So it depends on what you want here. Print, you enter a wrong number. Kindly try again. So you put your new line and you terminate this. This is one way. I'm still setting on the difference between what? While loop and for loop. So here now, when you don't know the number of times the user. So I'm going to give two examples here. Then after this, I'm also going to use it to print, because we also use while loop for not to also determine when we don't know the number of times, because actually it still have a little similar with for loop, but there is always a specific, peculiar time when we use them. Always a peculiar time when we use them. So in other case, for you to actually get another input, so we use another scanf here, scanf under it. So percentage dish, comma, and it's still coming from what? From the address of the I. So we come here, and what we want it to print, if eventually the person wrote a number that falls between 1 and 10. So let's put congratulations. Congratulations, you have entered. In fact, let's even get the number to you have entered. Let's get the number the person inputs. You have entered this, and is between 1 and 10. Let's give our return statement. So let's compile this. Sorry, I omitted something out, which is the what? Okay, yeah, let's continue. Yeah. So let's enter a 0. Sorry, you enter a wrong number. Kindly try again. So now it's waiting for another trial here. That's why we see that prompt. So let me write 11. So 11 is still greater than the 10, which does not fall between 1 and 0. So sorry, you enter a wrong number. So let's put a number in between that. Let's write 3. Congratulations, you have entered. Okay, this is not set correctly, so I need to go and set this place. I want you to get the number for me, and it's between 1 and 10. So it's printed what? This second line of statement. Alright, in as much as I use what? My format specifier here, I need to specify where is it coming from. I want you to get it from I. So I'm going to what? Put the I here and put my comma first. So let me rerun it again. So you ask me to enter a number. Let me write what? 99. sorry, you enter a wrong number. Sorry, you enter a wrong number, because the number we are looking for should fall between 1 and 10. So let me try the 0. It will still be wrong. If I tried 1, between 1 and 10, so it must be correct. This is 1. So congratulations, you entered 1, and it's between 1 and 10. So now we use while loop in this kind of situation, because you don't know the number of what, the number of time an action will be taken. Like now, when I tested this input, I tested it more than one times by what, trying numbers, the right numbers that needs to what, to give me the right access, either to log in or whatever. So that is one way. So just to make it clear on how we use why we use while loop, and what is meant for. So having known that as well, I will still quickly demonstrate. Okay, let me put what we are trying to do here. Let me comment what we are trying to do, the question we are trying to solve. So, which is write a program that takes an input from the user, that takes a number between 1 and 10 from the user, between 1 and 10 from the user. So that is that. So this is what this program is all about. Now, it is also possible, for instance, you want to divide some certain number. You want to divide numbers. So you don't know the number of time you don't know the number of time. Probably we want to divide, let's say we want to divide 500 divided by 2, and we don't know the number of time 2 will go in 500. So how do we in that case we use while loop. We use while loop to determine, since we don't know the number of time that 2 will go in 500, therefore we use while loop to test. Let's see how many times. And the first thing you need to do, you declare your hash include stdio.h. that is your header file, your entry points. So having done that, you set your variables. What we are still dealing with, let me use number. Then you need a counter here that will count the number of times 2 will go in 500. So we need a counter. So let's declare it as also int count. Or let me use counter so that we can just get familiar with it. And we need to set this to 0. Going to start from 0. And here we set the value here. We also set this number, because what we want to determine is from 500. We set that. So having done that, what is left for us to do is to declare our conditional statement. Why the number is greater than 1. Why the number is greater than 1? Why the number is greater than 1? Then something should happen. We need to give it the statement. But before that, we need to what? To get the number. And in this case, we introduce now from the arithmetic operator that we did in our first class, probably first or second class, that we discussed about arithmetic operator. We play out here that we said division is used what? To get the whole number. That is the number of time a particular number will go in certain number. While modulo, we use modulo to what? To get the remainder of that number. And in as much as what? We want to try how many times a number will go in this 500. Therefore, we use what? Division. And the number, which is 500, that is 500 divided by, what are we testing? We are testing it, we want to divide it by 2. But we will not write this 500 because we've already passed this 500 to a variable name. So let's call the variable name here. We call the variable name and we divide it. We want to say how many times what? 2 will go in 500. So having set it, so it needs to what? We pass print that percentage, that is the number. Okay, I'm coming. Let me see the statement to put here. Let's see the statement to put. So we are going to print. We want it to print the number. Okay. 2 we go in 500. How many times? We don't know the number of times yet. So we set our format specifier to determine the number of times. So which will be what? We'll be calling from here. Let me put new line. Then we call it what? We call our number from the inside the printf function. So after this, we put our what? Return statement. And all right, we need to increase our counter. So we increase our counter here. So let's run it. So let's compile this. Two will go in. Now it broke it down for us, but this is not what I want. Actually, this is not what I want. It has not given me what I want, but let's see how it play out. By saying what? 2 will go in 500 250 times. Then in now what? Come here again. 2 will go in this 250 125. 2 will go in 125. That's 65 times. 2 will go in 65 31. 2 will go in 31 15. 2 will go in 7 I mean, we go in 15 7 times. So we go in 7 3 times. So we go in 3 times is 1. So let's count the number of times. This is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So I expect it to print 8. To print 8. So that's what I'm after. So, and let me see. Let me try to reposition my counter. Let me put it here first. Okay, let me put it here first. And if that doesn't work, so I will try another repositioning arrangement. Okay, it still give us the same thing. So I'm coming, let me try to fix it up. Could it be from here? Alright, so 2 will go in 500 one time. No, it's not 1. We are here to get what we are looking for. 2 will go in 500. Let me put times in. So I'm coming, let me see again what could be wrong. Okay, it's not number I'm to call. I'm to call the counter because it's to count for me. It's to count for me. It's counter. Sorry about that. Because I want it to count the number for me, so I'm to use counter, not the number. The number will what? We separate it for us, and it's doing the right thing for us. It break it down, but I don't want it to break it down. I want to what? To show the number of times. So I'm to call the counter there. So that's what I forgot. And so let's say it now. It should work this way. So we go in 500 0 times. Okay, I'm here to have what I'm looking for. I'm here to have it. 2 will go in 500 0 time. So let me try to reposition this back and see. So let's see how to reposition this. Let's see if this will work. I'm here to have the result. So we are trying to write a program. We are trying to write a program program that program that 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 determined that determined that determined the number of time two we go, let me say the number of time two we go in 500 So now to do that, now we've all understood what we mean by our entry points. We understood our code block. Now you need to get the number. You set a variable to store the number of what? The 500, which is the number you are considering, is your numerator. While you also declare another variable that will do the counting for you. That will do the counting, that is the number of time two will go in this 500. And you need to set what? The variable for your counter, and you pass it with a value of 0 to tell us that what? At this point it does not count anything. So it's starting from 0. That's where it what? Start the counting from. And having done that, you declare your while loop conditional statement. Your while loop condition. So while the number is greater than 1, that is, while this number, which is 500, is greater than 1, so it's going to test, because our code read line by line. So when the compiler is reading, it will come here first. Okay, do you have your other file? You have your entry point, all right. You have your code block, okay, this. So, okay, what is my number here? My number is 500, okay. My counter here is 0, okay. It has not performed any operation, okay. Why? All right, this is a condition, okay. Why this number, which is 500, is greater than 1, okay. What should I do? Then let me come here. We now come here, okay. Number equals to, all right, I have to put my number here, divided by 2. That means, okay, I'm to divide the 500 divided by 2. All right, after I've done that, what will I do next? I'm to count. So which goes where? 250 times, and I mean, it goes there 250 and 1 time first. We do the counting 1. After it has done that, okay, it will continue to loop this until this condition remains false. Until it is no longer true. It will count till what? It encounter either 1. So you encounter what? Well, okay, we have broken it down here when we divide it. That 500 divided by 2, which is 250. Then you count the counting, well, that is the first time. Second time again, you divide the 250 here by this 2, which is 125 the second time. Okay, continuously till you encounter what? 3 divided by 2, which is 1, which is 8 times. Now, you now divide your 1 divided by 1. And the question is, 1 greater than 1 here? 1 is not greater than 1, so therefore this condition has become false. Therefore, it's going to what? Get out of this loop. It will come out from this loop and enter this place and do the job of all this counting for us. So that, okay, 2 we go in 500. We now do the number of counting. Put it here, which is what? The 8 times. This 8 times, and put it here. And we call this counter because it's to do the counting for us. So let's quickly run it now and see the result, whether we have our output. All right, it's giving me 1 here. So I need to comment it out. There are many things to comment here. Let me use multiple line comment. I don't want to start repeating. All right, so it gave us what? The 8 times. That is 2 will go in 500 8 times. 8 times. So that is about that. That is about that. Now, the next thing we need to know. Sure, okay. Don't let me go there. Let's see what we have in our slide. Now, we've done to take inputs from user that when they input as well, we don't know the number of times that what the user will going to make an attempt until he gets the right input. So we've done this as well. So a while loop is used to repeat a specific block of code in an unknown number of times until a condition is met. For example, if we want to ask a user for a number between 1 and 10, we have done that. So let me see the next one. Okay, this is the breaking down of what I just finished reading. This is pseudocode. Ask the user to input a value. While the input is incorrect, ask the user to input another value. Then go back to the what? To the line 2. So now, at times, we enter into what? Into what's it called? An infinite loop. We enter into an infinite loop. Why? Because if we set the condition in a wrong way, and I'm going to try it now. When we set this condition in the wrong way, we are going to enter into what? Into an infinite loop. So let me use this example. I want to use why the number is less than 1. So let me see if this will give us such an example of what we are looking for. It's going to give us. So let me quickly run that. Okay, 2 will go in 500 is 0 times. Okay. All right, this will still count because we set this to be 0, so we only count one time, so it will not increase anything here. It will not perform anything. So let me open a new file. Now we said y is less than 10. It should increment. So let me try with a variable name. All right. Let me declare my variable name, but I know the compiler will still, it might give me a warning here. because I need to initialize it when I'm using while loop. So it's giving me a warning, and the warning is this. Okay, let me try to introduce my curly brackets, whether that's a complaint about. Alright, still giving me warning. What are you saying?
You didn't initialize y, that's why. Y is currently null.
So we are trying to set this infinite loop, but actually this kind of compiler we are using prevented the infinite loop to occur. So therefore we ignore that for now. We ignore that. So, and how other way do we use our while loop? Which other way do we use it? So I want this program to print for me. So I want this program to print for me that is A to B, A to Z. I want it to print A to Z for me. And we need to consider what type of data type are we dealing with. When it comes to counter here, we are dealing with what? With integer. So we set our data type here to be integer. Then when it comes to this, we are dealing with what? With we are dealing with character. Therefore, our data type is what? Is char. And we give a variable name I. Then something that I still want to make clear, whenever you are using your while loop, you will always initialize, that is, you will state your starting point. And I want to print character. So I'm going to what? I'm printing A to Z. In as much as it is character, I need to quote it so that the compiler will see this as a character. When it comes to character, we use what? Single quotation. And when it comes to string, probably I'm having some other things here. I'm having some other things, which is the double quotation. When it comes to string, maybe we are good. This is a string. Which we are not going into for now. What we want to print is what? Is a single character. So we want to what? We need to initialize the starting point, which is to start from A, because we want to print in ascending order. So we have to print in ascending order. So in that case, we need to declare our what? Our while loop. While this I, this is your variable, I is less than, we know is to print from A to Z. So in as much as this A is less than Z, this is what? To test the condition. So if this condition is true, then it should perform this job for us. So I'm going to use printf for now. Later I also introduce putchar. I will use it to print putchar as well. Now we set the condition and we specify as format specifier. In the previous lesson we've talked about this, how to use the right format specifier. So now we've set this condition, the character I equals to the character I, then while your I, which is this A, is less than or equals to the Z. In as much as this condition is true, then it will enter this body of loop. And do this job. It's going to print I. After it has finished doing that, it will come to this increment. It will increase from A again and increase it to B, which is the second time. So B will be placed here. Is B less than Z? So which is still less than Z. So it will print the B and it will come here again and increase. Actually, it is not counting in A, B, C. It's counting in 1, 2, 3, 4. And we know our alphabet entails 26 character. 26 character. That means this looping will loop 26 times. It will loop 26 times. So before the condition becomes false. So when the condition becomes false, then it terminates. So let's quickly print this and see what it's going to give us. Now we have the A to Z. We have it. So this same job that we have done here, our for loop as well we do it. That is why I said that for loop and while loop, they are in one way related. They are in one way related. But there are some conditions when it is only peculiar to while loop, and there are some conditions whereby it is only peculiar to for loop, which is peculiar to for loop. Probably I'm going to still make my finding to get a code that we will try to use the for loop and while loop to print the same thing if it's going to give us the results. So I'm going to still do that, but not now. Now we have used our printf. I want to use putchar to print the same thing. Putchar will only print one character at a time. So in as much as we are using putchar, we don't need any format specifier. We just call our variable name, which is your putchar, then the variable name here, then you terminate it, then you increment. So we increment and let us print now. Okay, now this does not compile. Why? Because we have specified a putchar here, and putchar, okay, it's like that means the spelling. No. So putchar we only print a character. So this spelling is wrong, that's why it's not printing. Let's check that. Putchar, yes. So we should have it now. Let me terminate it and compile again. I don't know why it is slow. So we have it A to Z, A to Z. If I should also use for loop here, I want you to pay attention to this, that you need to declare your starting point. When you are using while loop, you need to initialize your starting point. So please get that clearly. Get it clearly. Then you now set what? Where is going to end. Where is going to end. If I should put what? Less than Z, that means whatever is going to print is going to print A to what? To Y here. If I should set it this way, A to Y. So that is why in our first lesson we discussed about arithmetic operator and relational operator. All those things, they are very important. Once we know all these things, then and we know how while loop work, how for loop work, and how do while loop work, the job has reduced. It's now left for us to now able to think logically how to now what? Write our code. Can you see it stop at what? At Y. Because I said that what? That my my I is less than Z, which means when it gets to Y here, which is less than Z, it's going to stop. You know, when it's to increment it, it should increase to what? To the 26th alphabet, which is Z. And Z is not less than Z, therefore it will not print. So it's going to come out from the loop. So it will terminate from the loop. Now, I think this one should give me an infinite loop. But actually, let me see. Yeah. This should give me okay, I think either this will not print or it will give me an infinite loop. I'm looking for a way to set that infinite loop. So it doesn't give me any what? Any results. So let me set it this way. Less than, and let me decrease here. Actually, okay, let's see. All right, so this as well did not give us an infinite loop, but it gave us what? The garbage. That is the language that the computer can only understood. So that is about that. And quickly, let me quickly use my for loop here. Okay, now let me introduce this. At times, we may be asked to use what? Integer. If we want to use integer here, so how do we do it? You know this is an integer and we're asked to use what? Put char. We're asked to use put char. And we know put char will only print character. So why are we declaring integer here? Therefore, this will give a problem. So let me see. Let's run it and let us see the result of what we'll be having. Declaring an integer for a character. All right, we still have it. That is fine. That is fine. But I think we have it because we know character as well, integer as well. Okay, character is a special type of integer. It's a special type of integer. So let me remove the quotation and let me see what it's going to give me. All right, so this will not print. It's going to throw me an warning by this type of compiler. Don't worry, in our next class, I'm going to introduce us, because there's something I want to introduce, which is called a special converter. So that will be explained in our next tutorial. So let's stop here for today. So we've come to the end of this class. So thank you very much everyone that has participated and watching this YouTube channel. And we hope to see you more watching our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe and you like it. Thank you.